Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Picture of Success podcast, a show where we speak to outstanding mid career professionals who have made their mark at a young age. And in this show, we'll be diving into the journey and the process that they go through to achieve success. And in process, learn how we too can have the ability to achieve our dreams and purpose. And today in this show, I have Kevin Lee. Kevin started in his career in 2005 in an oil and gas industry, and to be more specific, a Fortune 500 company. At the peak of oil boom in 2012, Kevin left a cushy job in the oil and gas industry to join the relatively new and untested startup scene in Malaysia. Here, he set up a warehouse in a small suburb in Malaysia, which then grew to the first electronic world trade platform fulfillment center outside China. That company that Kevin helped co-found was Lazada. And in 2016, Lazada was brought over by Alibaba with a valuation of over USD 3 billion. And Kevin became a key member in Lazada, and he rose through the ranks from Group CEO to CEO of Lazada Malaysia. Today, after achieving success in e-commerce, he is taking that leap of faith again to do it all over again in Vienna, Australia. Live from Vienna, Australia, here we have Kevin Lee. Kevin, it's an honor to have you in the show.
Hi Yazid, how are you?
I am great. I'm great. You're sounding great as well. How's the weather over there?
It's cold right now. It's been towards the end of winter, getting warmer, but still cold.
I can see that you're wearing sweaters, and it must be really freezing out there. But it looks like sunny over there, so that's nice at least to have a sun.
Right? Yeah, when it's sun out, it's nice. It's early morning, so the sun is up. But yeah, it will set soon, so you gotta get used to it and get out and do stuff when the sun's still out, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I think we've met in many places. Right? We met in Kuala Lumpur. I actually met you the first time about 15 years ago in this small remote place called Bintulu. And we've known each other for quite a while, I assume, right? For the benefit of our audience, right? Why don't you tell me and the audience a bit more about yourself, your background, and where you come from, and so forth? Yeah.
Okay. I'm a Malacca boy, born and bred in Malacca. I had the opportunity to further my studies in the US. Petronas was a sponsor, so I got a scholarship from Petronas to further my studies in the US. I graduated, I double majored in computer science and operations research. And when I came back to Malaysia, I was working for Petronas in Bintulu. That's where I met you.
Yeah.
I was so funnily enough, I've never 100% done anything related to my major. Like my first job in Petronas itself was business planning. And then I had another job in marketing in Petronas before moving on, like you said, to the startup scene, where again it's sort of related but not so related to what I was doing. But yeah, I moved to Lazada in 2012. Had several roles in Lazada, mainly in operations, but so I was a senior manager of the logistics, and then moved on to become COO for Lazada eLogistics, CEO for Lazada eLogistics. And my final role was actually Chief Business Officer. So I've also moved to the business side a little bit in Lazada. And that was looking at how the sellers were doing, looking at how brands were doing on Lazada, and figuring out how to improve their performance and also, of course, improve Lazada's performance, right? So yeah, that's a bit about what's been going on in a nutshell over the past 15 years. I left in 2020.
Lazada?
No, 2021, Lazada, yeah.
Oh, so recent.
And I started doing my own stuff now. And I'm in Vienna now. And yeah, I'm in Vienna, and we're building another startup now. So hopefully this also works out. But enjoying life as it goes.
It does sound that even though you have it all, you are willing to take that leap of faith. And I assume that first taking a leap of faith happened when back in 2011, 2012, when you decided to leave the oil and gas industry, right? And I think this is something that a lot of my audience would like to know, right? Like, what went through your mind when you decided to leave a very cushy job, a job in the oil and gas industry, to go to an industry, to a place that's really uncertain, like a startup, and in this case, Lazada, in that sense, right?
So it's interesting because this leap of faith that you the so-called leap of faith is really a leap of faith, first of all, right? Like, if I think back, it was quite a blur, and it really felt like a leap of faith. But also, as I reflect on this question, I think I've done it twice. You can say I've done it twice, like try to do something different and pivot myself personally through the years. And the reasons were different. So in 2012, I was much younger. I think
Less risk averse, I would say.
Yeah, I really feel like I remember. So if I try to rewind 10 years and how I felt during the decision making, it was exciting in the sense that I just want to learn more. I want to do more, right? It doesn't matter if you make a mistake or not. Like this, that you can still do other things after that, right? So it was very different. I think for me at the time, it was the young dreamer kind of situation. So I remember somebody asking me like, "Hey, what do you want to do in life?" Right? Super philosophical question, but I remember being quite naive, and I said my answer was, if I could do something that would be a part of the lives of Malaysians, something similar to Facebook, that would be great, right? And I remember this person actually laughed at me. It's like, you're a dreamer. But then the opportunity came to try my hand at it. You never knew. You didn't know if it was going to be a success or not. But like I said, at that time, the considerations were not so much, is this going to be successful? Am I going to feel better or not? But it was more about like,
Following your heart and
you're
your
young. Yeah, you're young. You need to do this when you're young. You need to try to chase this and achieve this when you're young. Yeah. Making the same decision again now when I'm closer to 40 as opposed to back then, it's a bit more complicated, right? Now it's like, okay, you have your commitments, you have like, you've also achieved a certain level of success, right? And there's this
golden handcuffs, they call it, right, in that sense.
Well, yeah, the commitment part, I mean, if you plan it right, and so if you're one of these guys, and if I could go back and advise myself, if you're one of these guys who always wants to do something new, then plan your life around that you need some backup, because you're going to face uncertainty every time you choose to do something new. So if you plan for it, and if you hit that few successes, I think you could have a safety net. You could be your own safety net to go for those things, right? But psychologically as well, you have to get around to saying like, hey, now I'm known as the Lazada guy. If I leave, then and I don't build something successful, what am I known as, right? So but then at the end of the day, it's like, again, like, it brought me back to the first decision that I had to make. And it was like, yeah, but like, this is life, you only do it once, right? So you still have to do something that you're passionate about and you're interested in, and that's why you make this leap, right? But it's very, very hard. If you're asking me like, how do you know that's the right decision to make, it's very, very hard, right? Like, I think it's impossible, because nobody can tell the future. I've been lucky to have a decision that worked out for me, but I believe that's the philosophy of life that you have to take. If you believe in something, if you're passionate about it, and there's an opportunity that comes, yeah. I don't know if it will work, but I believe in taking the leap of faith, and doing your best at it. and whatever the outcome, you will leave knowing that you did what was true to your heart. Yeah. So I think that's very important in decision making, and that's how I've lived my life in the past 10 years, I guess. Yeah.
You've tried.
I hope that's helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Obviously, if you want to go to take that leap of faith, you need to have some sort of planning behind that in that sense, right? And even though it fails, you have some backup things that you can go around, and that's what you were trying to say earlier, right? You plan your life around taking risks, taking, doing new things and so forth and everything, right? So that even if it doesn't work out, you still have a way to go through, not just blindly going through into taking risks in that sense, right?
Yeah, I think you don't want to be a trap to your job, right? Like you don't want to say like I cannot leave my job because I need the money from this job for my commitment, right? So you want to build a life saying that you want to have independence in the life choices that you make as a professional, for your family, for your own self, and as a professional, you want to be able to be in position where you can make that call. So I think that that's very important, and it does make it easier to have that backup safety net so that you can make those calls. Yeah.
Right. You mentioned earlier just now that when you take the leap of faith, there's a lot of learning things, that a lot of new things that you need to learn and you need to do, and you don't know whether it will work out or not, right? And I must say, it must be a very steep learning curve when you start joining Lazada, right? Let's just go deeper into that, right? When you first joined and when you first start switching the industry, right? Can you describe the challenges that you faced, learning something new, coming into new industry, going to a 360 a 180 degree change in terms of way of working, and how do you overcome that and rise to be one of the top leaders in e-commerce, right?
So when I went into e-commerce, I knew almost zero about it, right? That was the bad thing, right? The challenge. The good thing was that I always say this: nobody had written the book on how to do e-commerce in Malaysia at the time.
Was new.
So there was no such thing as this is right or wrong, right? The bad thing was I thought I was going to have teachers or some SOPs that I could follow at least.
Very oil and gas.
Yeah, exactly. My only teacher was Google. And also the very, very nice pleasure of learning from your own mistakes. But therein is the nice thing about going into something new. You're the trailblazer, right? If I juxtapose like what was working in a very, very structured corporate versus working in a startup, nobody judges you by your mistakes. Don't make the same mistake again and again, of course, but people judge you by how much you're trying to deliver the results, right? Trying to make it work. Mistakes will happen, but recognize the mistakes and quickly learn from it and fix it, right? So we were always catching up and trying to learn, right? But I mean, we made so many different changes, like the whole the delivery infrastructure was completely changed at the time. I remember walking into the office and they were like, we need delivery with cash on we need to do parcel delivery with cash on delivery. I'm like, oh my God, that's like, are you crazy? That's never going to work. Yeah, but we figured it out, right? Like you kept challenging and saying like the normal rules don't work. So the learning is self-created in a way. The more curious you are, the more you're willing to examine and admit to yourself and have a very humble view that you don't know anything and this is just something that you have to learn. The faster you learn, that's great. There are also little things like the Lazada and the Zalora warehouse was next to each other,
Right.
and
You learn each other.
we had friendly competition, right? Like, oh, how much did you process, and you would spy on them and look at them, and but it was great
It was
because
good
like
competition.
it was great competition. You also had a community of 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 friends who had the same mindset, who were trying to
Like-minded
learn, and
ones, yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that was great. um I think one more thing along the years is also trying to break things down into its fundamental components,
Right.
like simplification of the problem, right? Like often where people I'm going to use Malay word like serabut a bit, like, hey, what's the problem? And then you don't know, like, why everybody's so panicky, like what's going on? Oh, it's a big issue. But then you ask, like, why, like the five whys, like
Just need to step
why,
back
or
and do
you take a step
investigation.
back and yeah, exactly, and you break it down, like, okay, this is what we want, these are the components that make it work. I don't have component A, therefore I need to improve component A. And then it's like, oh, okay, then we just need to hire 5 more people to do that, or we need to reduce the time that we need to do for that. It's like you structure it, you break it down. Smaller problems are much easier to solve, right? So yeah, so that helped a lot, especially in a chaotic world where you have 100 billion things going on at the same time, and where you have I don't know, and no real teachers, and you had to look at everything at the same time. It helped to break things down and stay sane, sane enough so that you can get to the next problem, solve it, and then get to the next problem and solve it. So yeah, that was the learning experience. It's been amazing. It still is amazing. I love it. Do we get it right all the time? No, but that's fine. You make
We
the
learn from
mistakes,
our
quickly
mistakes.
accept. Exactly. Quickly accept it and move on. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's breaking it down. It sounds like you are doing it in an agile way of working, I would say, assume, right? Yeah. It's just a follow-up question. It just intrigues me, right? You work from an industry that's very regulated, that's very work process based. Then you just go to this startup whereby it's no rules almost in that sense that you just do it, and you if it fails it's okay, you just want to move fast, right? Like, how do you get to wrap around that change in that mindset, right? I mean, that's something really interesting for me in that sense. How do you do
Right.
it?
Well, it sort of started in Petronas itself. My last role in Petronas was in project, right?
Right.
And in project, you're firefighting. Like, yes, that's the SOP. Yes, but you already have that taste. And I guess that's also why, going back to your first question, why I took the leap of faith was I found it exciting to build something, right? To do something that's okay. It's not like step 1 do this, step 2 do this, step 3 do this. It's like, okay, we need to fix the pressure vessel, we need a replacement, there's a rejuvenation work that we need to do. Like, who do you talk to?
Sounds familiar.
Okay, yeah, the original designers are no more there, what do you do, right? So like, I mean, I wasn't an engineer, but I was part of those discussions, and being able to, I was doing cost control and scheduling and for the project. So I was doing the contracts, I was looking at the strategy for how they were working on it, and I think that sort of set me on that path already, right? To be excited about doing things with less how do you say, less
Less resources,
structure.
less
Yeah,
less
yeah, less
time.
structure. Yeah. But how do you wrap your head around that? I, I I think one of the easiest way was to be able to define for yourself what your goals are, and chase those goals, right?
Right.
So in the beginning, of course, I had bosses who helped me to do it, or but then sooner or later you have to develop, like, okay, what's important here, like breaking down to the fundamentals. One of it is to understand which are the key KPI that you want to chase, and try to structure things around that, right? Nothing else matters. Tell you what, funny story. I was in logistics in e-commerce, which was still more structured because it's still operations, right? It's very easy. We need to produce 1,000 parcels in X amount of time. Let's figure out how to do it. Oh, we're how many percent behind us? We're all measurable. Then you move into commercial, and it's more about emotions and like how do you entice people. But even there, you can break it down and find commercial. I mean, you can find numbers and data to help you do that, right? So
Right.
what I'm trying to get at is we did a lot of data-driven decision making, because it takes the emotion out of it, right? It forces you to break it down to the fundamentals, because if you cannot choose which data to look at if you don't understand what's driving your business. So that helped. But then it's still nice that you are the artist and you have a bit of a free reign in terms of what you want to do, as long as you're hitting those targets. So that was sort of, it didn't happen overnight like that. Nah? Slowly you have to get used to it, and then, okay, no SOP. What
You
exactly do you
actually
want me to
build the
do?
SOP in that sense.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly. And then
exciting part.
you build it, get it wrong, rewrite it 10 times, and then finally have it right, and give it to somebody and say, you monitor the KPI. If we're not hitting it, then tweak the SOP, keep on tweaking. Nothing's ever perfect, right? So yeah, that's what we're doing. I think, to be honest, that's what is happening in Petronas, except that it's SOPs that have been written for so many years that you don't really get an opportunity to fine tune it. But there is a team that's probably looking at it, improving it, trying to figure out a better way to do it, right? In a startup, you are that team. You're that one person that's doing the SOP, writing the SOP, and improving the SOP. So yeah.
And that's the exciting part, right? Figuring out what works and what doesn't work, and that keeps you up and rejuvenated in that sense, right? But having said that, I think the e-commerce industry has come a long way since the first time you joined in 2012, right? And I believe some of the pioneering efforts and the pioneering ways of doing things are already been standardized in that sense, and many players are actually doing certain ways similar, right, in that sense, right? So let's just bring back to that question, right? And as someone who are very seasoned in the e-commerce industry, a veteran, I must say itself, right? Because such a young industry, the market seems to be a bit crowded on the glance for someone who are not well in this space, right? But in your view, where do you see opportunities and the market needs for e-commerce, and what does the future hold for this exciting world of e-commerce? And I believe you're doing something around those lines as well, right?
So, I mean, even 4 years ago, I think in some conferences, people were asking me what's the future for e-commerce, right? I think that if we have to continue to say e-commerce, then it's still not normal yet, because it's this new thing called e-commerce. Yeah, like, as long as you have to say e-commerce, like, it's something different, right? My opinion is that e-commerce is simply another way to sell, right? You don't say, shop lot, mall, you don't
It's just a
say,
channel in that sense.
it's just a channel, right? And I think that we're seeing that today. Some of especially the bigger sellers who have both an offline and online presence, start to wonder, like, it's just another channel. How do I get better at it? How do I merge what I'm doing online and offline together? Because I cannot run two different organizations. I cannot run an online organization and an offline organization. There will be different departments that I need to do, yes. But there's no such thing as e-commerce, right? So I think that that needs to happen and will happen. Obviously, the more online drives your P&L for big brands, big companies, then you're forced to acknowledge that it's a major sales channel for you, right? And then the problems will happen. Then the challenges will happen. What is the infrastructure that you have in place to manage this business? Supply chain, for example. I mean, offline is very much a distributor-based B2B style business, and then online is a B2C style, like parcel by parcel, item by item kind of business, right? But then not just that, the replenishment between your main warehouse distribution and now you have an online store. Like, how do you merge that, and where do you put your stock and all that? it becomes a big question how to optimize it, right? So that if you take today's business world and you ask all the questions is, what tools do I use in today's business? And how do I make sure that this tool is online ready? Because you don't want to have two different tools. You don't want one warehouse system to run just for offline and one warehouse system to just run for online. You don't want one data system, like studying. You've invested so much in, having those membership cards so that you know who's buying from you from which shop. And then suddenly you have this online, and it's like, what, two different systems? How do I merge that data together? Because you still want to understand your consumer behavior. You want to still be able to identify whether they're different. You want to, I don't know, like when you do a product, when you're trying to do marketing for a product, you're trying to make the pictures and the tagline, the wording and everything. Can it be used for online versus offline, billboards versus, so everything has to be together. Right? And we see that gap of multi-channel tools, let's say, not being very well, and that's what we're doing today. So we're building this company called O6, that's trying to take advantage, or not trying to address that gap in the market. So right now we have an order management system. We have a warehouse management system that talks to each other, and we have the order management system, for example, taking all your online channels and making it one single interface for you, so you can manage your brand.com, right? You can manage your Lazada store, your Shopee store, if you're in Singapore, your Q10 store. You can manage hopefully soon we will also be able to support like your WhatsApp and your Facebook sales as well. So everything becomes one channel, right? And then has a WMS, a warehouse management system, that allows you to merge both your offline. If you need to send to your physical store, that the warehouse management system can do it for you. If you need to transfer stock for your online business, it also does it for you, and you can fulfill your online business. And of course, many more layers to that. Trying to integrate all the different data points for you, so that from one single cockpit, you can make a decision for your business, not for your online business or for your offline business, like for your business. So I think that is a sort of where people need to move. And the moment we take out the E from commerce and just treat it as all commerce, we will make further development on that ground.
Yeah. And assuming this is something that you are actually building right now, the startup that you're working on, to make that synchronization between offline and online, the systems, the warehouse management system, is that what you're working on right now, in that sense? So
from a business strategy, we're focusing even on the online that's already very fragmented, right? So like I mentioned, there's many different platforms that you can sell on, right? So we're focusing on that. But we're future-proofing ourselves by being able to connect. So for some of our customers, for example, we're connecting with the online stores, but we pump data into their overall marketing tools, right? So we help to build that connectivity for them. For another client, they're using our warehouse management system, both for offline and online. But from our business perspective, because we're young and we're new, you've got to pick your battles to fight, right? If I'm going to go to a big heavyweight company and try to get your offline business today, I'm not going to be able to fight with the SAPs and all that. So I'm fighting for the online business, but then saying, hey, don't you have this problem? Like, how do you look at your data between your online business and your online business? We could merge it for you. We could connect it or we could pump the data to you, whatever you want, right? And then that's sort of what we're doing.
SME is your target at this point of time, right?
Still SMEs, but even SMEs face these problems, right? Like we're talking, so to
the
be honest, we're
needs.
talking to SMEs that have like 1,000 orders online.
Exactly.
Right?
The big companies, they probably have their own
Yeah.
customized system already, in that sense.
Not really. I think there's still a gap even in the big. No, but seriously, I think there's a gap. It's very fragmented. Yeah. Imagine for the big companies, right? Like online could be 5% to 10% of the P&L today. And for most of them, it's even smaller, right? So there's so much growth. So for number one, e-commerce has so much more growth until it becomes 50-50. Then when it's not level playing field yet. But at 10%, the companies still haven't developed the SOPs to manage that part of the business well, right?
Back
So
to your
there's so much
2012
fragmentation.
problem.
Yeah, there's so much fragmentation. There's so much, but there's so much progress being done because everybody's learning and it's growing so fast with the current situation where everybody's increased in shopping online.
Thanks to COVID.
Thanks to COVID, the learning curve has gotten much like accelerated, but it's amazing for everybody, right? It's exciting times for everybody.
It is, and this is the revolution that we are looking for online businesses or brick and mortar business who wants to go online, right? They need online these days, right? You can't survive just being brick and mortar, and this is where I think you are in the right.
Yeah. Like I said, right? Like you don't ask the question if you have the opportunity to open another shop. Do you open another shop at another location so you get more traffic flow and all that, right? You just do it, right? If you have the opportunity to do it. So why do you say, oh, it's online? Like it's another shop. It's another channel for you to get sales. Like unless you have dead serious reasons, like you're living somewhere where there's no internet and you cannot get online, there's no, I don't see any rationale behind not going online in some form or other, right? I think that's the way most Malaysians communicate. I mean, it's like 70% of Malaysians have smartphones. We're oversubscribed on phone numbers.
There are
right?
more,
Like
there are more handphone numbers than people in Malaysia.
Exactly. So like and if I remember correctly the data, I think in Malaysia is now mobile first as well, which means that we consume web content through mobiles. Infrastructure is there. Are you using it? That's the question, right?
It's something to be tapped, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Kevin, I've learned so much from you today, and so does the audience as well, right? Let's just go through to summarize your personal journey, what you've gone through, and so forth, right? Now, if you were to just look back your 15 plus years of working and so forth, right? And if you were to put it on the billboard, right? Do you have what choice of words would you put it on the billboard, and what would that message be?
I don't know, man. Put my name, Kevin Lee, on the billboard first. If I get a free billboard, I would use it for advertising purposes. Of course. No,
like a true marketer. Here's my link.
Okay, I think that I don't know if you could put it on a billboard, but as I grow older, as I age, as I mellow out, I think that I've seen that the journey in life changes, but one thing that doesn't change, one thing that I mean, your character, your experience changes you as you grow older. I mean, we're mid-career now, right? Of course, like
exactly.
Looking back 10 years, like everything has changed. But one thing that's held true is have an opinion. It's very important to have an opinion, be it for yourself, right? Don't just follow the crowd. Have an opinion. Stick to it, fight for it, have a passion, have an opinion, fight for it. It's if you're wrong, right? But you live on your terms and you do things on your terms, right? I think that's very important, and very many young professionals today come in and try to follow the crowd. If you want to stand out, I think you need to develop that sense of, this is my opinion, this is what I believe in. I mean, don't base it on random stuff, right? Like develop the expertise to build that opinion, but make it your own, right?
Right.
And that really helps you to stand out, and challenge the status quo even at some point. So yeah, I don't know if you can fit all that on a billboard, but yeah, that's something that I would tell the younger generation. Now you make me feel very old.
I would say have your opinion, right? That would be a very powerful bit, right? I mean, like sometimes when you're young, when you're starting into a business or a organization, you just follow what the senior says, right? So having an opinion and fighting for that, right? I think that's something the audience would be can take away from it. Okay. We are right around finishing at the end of the show. So let me just recap back again. Kevin Lee, you've been an outstanding person in terms of taking the leap of faith. But taking a leap of faith is just not about taking taking blind race, right? Make your calculated judgment, have your life being put in a sense of like you have a backup in case of anything goes wrong. But you just need to believe and also pursue your dreams in that sense, right? And pursuing your dreams have made you where you are right now, and you are on the precipice of starting again a new startup. I have not asked the startup name or where can we find the information, but for the benefit of audience, right? Or even for potential new investors, where do we find more information about your new startup, Kevin?
So we're on deeplinks.com.
Deeplinks.com, right?
Deeplinks.com. LYNDEEPLYNX. But we're doing a rebranding soon because we're working with a new partner. And we will have it as O6 OSIX, to be seen how the website will be. One solution, infinite expansions. So that's sort of the idea about merging the different parts of your business together using one solution, and we want to be that one solution, right? So yeah.
Awesome. I'm sure the audience and potential investors will be actually looking into this new this.
I hope so.
Yeah, you've got the credibility behind there, right? So
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Lee, a amazing person, someone who took the leap of faith, and now today he is actually doing it all again with his new startup. And be sure to check out the website, and also the links going to be provided below right here. And Kevin, thank you again for being part of this show. I am really feel honored to have you as part of my guest.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being on
Yeah, the pleasure is all mine. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, Kevin Lee. I hope you like this podcast that we are having. Be sure to check out more of our contents in the channel. I'm Yazid Ismail, your host for the podcast Picture of Success, signing out. Till I see you next time.